Welcome to Albuquerque UFO UAP Explorations. My name is Birdie, and it is my absolute honor and pleasure to introduce a remarkable individual, Joan of Angels. Joan is not just a healer, but a cosmic spiritual leader and activator, an angel of light whose life's mission transcends the ordinary and touches the very essence of our cosmic journey. Joan's work is intuitively guided, focusing on personal transformation and providing her clients with the necessary skills and healing to live happier, healthier lives. Joan is known as an oracle of ancient wisdom, a visionary artist, and a spiritual advisor whose influence extends into public speaking, acting, and modeling. Her role as a dedicated wing fluffer highlights her commitment to nurturing and guiding the galactic community of lightworkers, starseeds, and earthly galactic beings, encouraging them to step into their visions and live their true mission. As a high priestess, Joan works in partnership with the Portal to Ascension, promoting world tours and opening portals in sacred places. Her work aims at reestablishing ancient mystery schools across the planet, making the old wisdoms accessible for the new age. Today, as we converse with Joan of Angels, let us open our minds and hearts to the wisdom she brings from the cosmos, poised to elevate and transform. Join us in this journey of enlightenment and cosmic discovery with Joan, a true angel of light who walks among us. Joan, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Wow, I want to meet that woman. I'm so glad to be here too, Birdie. That was excellent. Oh my God, thank you.
It's my pleasure. Everyone should know what an incredible being you are.
Thank you.
So let's get started from the beginning. You've had a big transformation in your life from, your youth to where you are today. And I mean, we're all young souls, right? So
Yeah. We're all growing. We're all on this journey.
we
And we're
are.
all growing. And you're not, people like us who are connected to the stars are not the same when we grow older as we were in the beginning, because we have to wake up.
That's
We
right.
come here to wake up. We don't come here to be asleep. And so if you're listening on your path, you will be different.
Yes. Yeah, I know I've had incredible transformations multiple times in my life, and I would love to hear about what got you started on this spiritual journey.
Well, I'm going to start by saying I think I've always been on the spiritual journey. And I would lay in bed and the paintings on the wall would move. Now, I didn't see well, but still, I'd see angels in them. And suddenly I'd find myself transported into the artwork on the wall when I was a little girl. And I'd be walking among angels and tall beings and goddesses, even as a child. I didn't know what that meant. But as I grew older, I had a terrible, terrible, terrible fear of being alone in the house in closets. I mean, terrified.
Wow.
And, I could tell you I've had 33 different awakening moments. My soul aspects, to call them back, there's been 33 fragments. But what I think is really appropriate here is that when I saw years ago, it was in the 1980s, there was a book that was being released by, of course, his name skips. It was on ETs. It was ETs. It had a picture of a tall gray on the book. His name will come back to me. And it was touted on the New York Times and everywhere. And I said to myself, I got to buy this book. In fact, I better order the book because it's going to be sold out. And that's what I thought, it was going to be sold out. I was shocked when it wasn't. And as I'm reading the book, it's Whitley Strieber's first book, I think. As I'm reading it, he says, if you're reading this book, you might have been abducted. You might have been abducted. And if you're afraid of closets, you definitely were abducted. And man, that hit me in my belly. I mean,
Wow.
that really freaked me out. And I didn't do anything about it because, you know, I was living a typical life. I was a chiropractor. I was too busy. And then I was a mother. And then something else hit where I met these people who started talking about, God, names just take a while. He's the one who talked about the Anunnaki. What's his
Zachariah
name?
Stitchin?
Yeah, Zachariah. So she's
Yeah.
a walking treasure trove of everything about him. She's sitting in the living room telling me all about this story of the Anunnaki. And I get really hit. And I start painting. I totally forgot about this. I started painting spaceships. And at some point, I realized, oh my God, I have to get these spaceships out of my room. I'm going to give the paintings away because I'm attracting spaceships into my life. So that was my beginning of understanding that I've been a contactee and I've been abducted and I have children, you know, hybrid children. It was really the beginning of that for me.
Wow, it's so funny. I had the same experience with Whitley Strieber's book. I was in my first marriage at the time and I had little kids. This was whenever it came out, long time ago now. And I bought it when we were visiting my parents. My parents lived in Wichita, Kansas, and we were staying in the basement of their home. And I was up all night reading that book and just terrified. I had all these memories come back. It was incredible, but I had that same experience with that book.
Yeah, that book completely, it was an aha, but it terrified me even more.
Yeah.
So that's how I began. That wasn't my angelic awakening, but that was
Right.
my ET. And I started to go to all sorts of ET events. And I
Yeah.
was up in San Francisco. And that's how I dived in and really discovered that I was a contactee. And
Wow.
I moved to Baja at one point, and I had a group down in Baja for a year called Baja Paranormal because I wanted to meet other people interested in UFOs. So the whole Patriot community or expats would come
Right.
out. We had like 100 people. It was great. So it's
Wow.
curious.
That's
It's
very
always
cool.
curious. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
how did your angelic awakening happen? So you have your non-human intelligence awakening, your alien awakening,
Right.
and now
We
another
walked
side
into,
of a multifaceted coin.
you know, I've been on George Norrie twice, and both times all he wants to talk about is UFOs and angels or
Yeah.
ETs and angels. The first show, the second show, kind of all about how they fit together. But I was a chiropractor for many years, and then I was injured and I had to do other things. And I began realizing that the biggest thing in my life was miracles. I began teaching people miracles and experiencing miracles, etc. But at some point, things went sour again for me. Oh, yes, after I had been researching the UFO, the Kingman UFO crashes, things went sour. And
Man, and we
I
have to talk about
remind me to talk
Kingman.
about Kingman
Yeah,
because
because
I
that
was,
has been in the news this past week.
oh my God, please send me links to that. I was,
Christopher Mellon, the ex-undersecretary for defense,
right,
tweeted out that it was a real event that happened, and he um, posted some names redacted correspondence that he had with people in the Department of Defense where they confirmed that they retrieved an intact crash. And it just happened this week. And I'm like, oh
oh
my
my God.
gosh. And I'm talking to Joan. This is not a coincidence. No way.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So send me that link or even
Yes.
post it in the chat here. But I was intimately involved with a man by the name of Harry Drew. And Harry Drew had thoroughly researched the 1953 Kingman UFO crashes. And according to Harry, there were actually three. Yes, there were three crashes that happened in that period of time. I think only one is known about, but there were three. And I went to all the crash sites with him. I explored them with him. I saw the evidence. I helped him make his movie, which I actually gave him the title. I think he called it 7 Days in May. Really exciting. And yeah, I was intimately involved in that whole discovery of the land where they had been on. We found all the evidence of the military and that they had been there because they left all these cans of condensed milk that Harry, who was a true researcher, had traced back to the 50s. Like
Wow.
that's when that can was made in the 50s, is condensed
Yes.
milk. We found radioactive activity. And every time we went to that first landing site, some strange truck would drive up and start talking about us and suggesting we go somewhere
Wow.
else. And one time they all had, weapons, as
Yeah.
there was some kind of patrol. So they would always know when we would show up, and
Yeah.
it was intimidating for me because, so,
Yes.
just a normal
That's
human here.
scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was really exciting. And the second crash site that we went to was, you had to be really careful because of all the snakes and the scorpions. And that too was quite a story, because the second crash site, Harry speculated, and I think he was right, that they were coming back to pick up the first guys that were left. So the first crash site, there were 4 beings, and they were all alive when the Air Force came to retrieve them.
Wow.
And they were taken quite a ways, and the ship had landed like this. Because
Yeah.
I guess I'm intimately involved with the crash. Yeah. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
happy to talk about. Oh, this is exciting. It's news. All right. So the ship was at a 30-degree angle in the ground, more like this. Okay.
Okay.
And they tried to carry it on one of those flatbeds to, where did Harry say that they went to? I haven't talked about it a long time. You have to suggest some of the military bases, but they took it to this base, but they couldn't get it to go flat. So they
Yeah.
actually had to go back and bring the crew members with them, because the ship would not lay down flat. It would
Wow.
only go like this. And they were taken alive. But a week later, another crash landed about 5 miles over the mountain. So on the other side of those mountains.
Yeah.
And it was flat. It broke into, I think, 1,000 pieces or so.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then the
That must have taken
military,
some cleanup there.
well, the Air Force did their cleanup. And
Right.
I know I went with Harry. We researched certain records in the Historical Society in Kingman. There was mention in one historical record, there was mention of it. And then there was another mention of a year or two earlier of a ship, of a fire that was in the mountain. And they found some strange guys that were there, and they brought them in and they locked them downstairs in the courthouse. Harry took people to the courthouse. It was crazy. We did these tours in the courthouse, and this guy was locked downstairs in the prison cell, which was reinforced with concrete. You could not do a Houdini and escape.
Right.
And he was down there, and when they came down to question him, he was nowhere to be found. So there were strange
Wow.
incidents like that. So they were
Wow.
scouting out Kingman for sure. And Kingman is a hotbed, because when I stayed it with Harry in the desert, twice a week, at least, we would have ships out in the backyard where no one was.
Oh, that is insane. I have heard that it's a hot spot, that whole area. I've driven through there multiple times, and it always has a feeling to me, almost otherworldly. Like maybe there's a portal there or some kind of a thin veil makes it
I don't
easy.
know.
Yeah.
I keep thinking I might be able to find it, the crash site. I have a clear idea of how we got there.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to go back. At the back of Harry's house, twice a week, we would see these ships, and there was these orbs would come towards the house.
Wow.
And one day, Harry called me to look in the camera, and one orb was so big, it completely blocked out my car. You couldn't see the car. It was that big, and it was solid.
Wow.
It was solid. You couldn't see through
Wow.
it. So yes, it is a hotbed. It is true that I'm so glad that they're verifying or validating, because Harry got a lot of flack from it. The real, the other UFO
Right.
researchers really gave him a lot of flack. And the other thing, the Kingman crash was 1953 or 55. But you can look at Harry's movie, 7 Days in May. Harry Drew, HARRYDREW, and go take a look at it. Harry had been a former museum director and was a true researcher. And
Oh,
his
I'm
research was
looking
so
this
valid.
up. Yeah.
Someone actually tried to steal his domain name, which was
Really?
harrydrew.com. Yes, yes, yes. When he first brought me in to help him, I had to work hard to recover. We know who took it too, someone in the UFO world. I won't say, but
Yeah.
yeah, we worked really hard to recover that one.
Wow. There are always a lot of shenanigans when you start getting close to the truth in these different areas. And it's amazing the kind of energy that brings up, the chaotic energy, government energy, uh, negativity toward you. It's amazing what can happen.
Yeah, yeah. So he did not get acceptance from the UFO community on his work in that way.
Huh, that is absolutely fascinating. And it's just so interesting that, you're here talking with us now and yeah, I know. And it just came out last
Synchronicities,
week.
right?
That's right. That's right. That this was a real crash retrieval. They have a whole intact, one of the craft was mostly intact. And apparently that's been reverse engineered.
Well, that's the one that was at the angle this way. And on those days, I was getting a lot of flashbacks. I could literally, I remote viewed it and I can see them walking around the ship. Ah, my
Yeah.
dear friend Kay, you missed the beginning. Oh, well, we had a private talk. I'm going to be in your area this summer.
Joan is coming out and we're going to put on a special show.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is it. What an amazing story. I mean, you've had a whole life full of encounters and being around all of this non-human intelligence in different kinds of ways. Researchers, investigators using your own remote viewing powers, your own intuitive skills. So, what can you tell us about the whole alien presence? There's this whole sense out there in the national narrative these days that it's a national security issue, which I think is a lot of baloney, in my opinion. But I wonder what you think. Should we be afraid?
okay. There's different levels here. And that's what I want to break it down to. There's the levels of the fact that abductions were real and are real. And those are pretty traumatic. And I don't care what
Yes.
they say, it's not done for our good. It's done for theirs. So, and there's now a lot of, talk that it's also the military, or maybe it's always been the military. We actually don't know that.
Right.
But number one, that's not a pleasant experience. And I have
No.
memories of that too. So not pleasant.
Right.
So there is a reason to be afraid of that. But I don't know if that's happening so much anymore. But I was also a contactee. And 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 that began that I really became conscious of that when I left the desert, when I left Arizona and I moved back to LA. I went to this event the very first month I was there, and I had been seeing, it's crazy. I went to bed the night before this event that was being put on by Portal to Ascension in 2011 or 12. And I went to bed, and the night before I went, I had all these ETs circling around me in my room, and that had never happened to me before. Every time I opened my eyes or closed them, they were circling. And I go to this event, and there's a table, and man, it takes a while for the names to come back. She's the ET sculptor. She was known as the ET sculptor. So I walk in, and on a table, there's a table with all of these ETs, all the different kinds. And there's the one that was surrounding me all night long. And he was a tall white, and I took him home. And when I took him home, he started downloading information to me 24/7. He would tell me where to take him. He would tell me, oh, you got to take me with you here. And he freaked people out. But I would take this extraterrestrial with me because I was having a lot of contact. And I
I
had my
love
first
this.
regression then, and realized that actually was quite powerful, that I'm really here to turn on people's light and raise their
Right.
vibration and everything
Yes.
that I had known, but they confirmed it for me. So my bottom line is this: there's ETs that are really here to support us. And many of my friends have star families that download information and heal them and do amazing things for them. or with them. And so we have a star family. All of us who are probably listening to this and involved in the ET world know that. So we have a star family. We have the the Galactic Federation, and that is real. We have evidence they shut down the nuclear weapons in the 50s.
Right.
However, behind all that, I do believe that and it's taken me a few years to come to this, but I do believe that there's a reptilian force that has actually are the Earth's controllers, and that are still here and that have enslaved us. And so they're in the background manipulating all the world events. And they've been in the background probably for thousands of years and manipulated our wars and our life on this planet. And
Well, many
so,
people have talked about this and have had encounters with reptilian type aliens. And it even, you can look back at the historic record and things like petroglyphs and Egyptian carvings, ancient Sumerian carvings, and there are things that look like reptilian aliens in all of
yes,
human history.
if it looks like a reptilian, it is a reptilian, you know. That's all I can tell you. You see a reptilian head, that is not human. Okay, when you look at and I took two groups of people to Egypt this summer. So I saw these hieroglyphs myself. I saw a hieroglyph in the Luxor temple where several people were freaking out because they saw murders that had happened. They saw
Wow.
hundreds of people in that plaza being slayed, and they couldn't tolerate the energy. But right there on the hieroglyph there was an image where you could see that they were cloning humanity. They were cloning humans. Humans were sort of laying down in a row with a feeding tube. They were being cloned and created, not just to be slaves, but also as food. We were very tasty. But and so when the gods in the Bible said, "Bow down before me,"
Right.
or attack Jericho, or I'll slay you.
Right. There are
You
so
know,
many biblical stories. The whole book of Enoch talks about all
it's all
kinds of,
true.
it's
It's
all
all
true.
true. And when
Right.
you're in Egypt walking around and you see these hieroglyphs that are talking about that, well, when they get translated for you, but you can see these images and you understand that these gods were not here to help us. They were here to use us and abuse us, and they haven't left. And there's so many signs that they're still here. And I have seen a reptilian revealed, but it
Wow.
was a good reptilian. And I was with a friend who had been bragging. She said, she came in as a client, and as I'm working with her, I said, "Oh my God, I see an implant." And she
Yeah.
said, "Oh yeah, that was, a week ago. I was at such and such place, which wasn't far from where we lived." And she said, "I saw a ship and they were reptilian." She said, "But I they didn't get me, or they didn't take me aboard their ship, and nothing happened." Well, here I see, this implant right here.
Yeah.
And I didn't know in those days about how to remove them
Right.
energetically. But a week or two later, I'm at her house. We're having a glass of wine and talking. And the next thing I know, the skin of her face comes off. It's peeled back. She was, I was looking at her from the side, peels it back. And she's pure reptilian head, pretty scary
Wow.
looking. And her voice changed.
Really?
And her voice was like a very far away, it was a deeper sound. It wasn't her voice. It lasted 60 to 90 seconds, and then she was back to normal.
So do you think it was the implant that was transmitting that to happen, or do you think she actually was fully a reptilian?
Well, I think she was a good reptilian and didn't know it, and
Ah,
or maybe they had taken her over or
okay.
activated that part.
Right.
And I discovered reading another one of Whitley Strieber's books that made me realize that I also have some good reptilian in me,
Yeah.
and many of us do. It's not a bad thing in that way. It's not a bad thing because there are good reptilians and bad reptilians. More
It's like
bad
people.
than good,
It's
but
like
we need
people.
the good reptilians because they're the only ones who have the inner knowingness of dismantling the reptilians.
Oh, see, that's an interesting point right there. And I think any society, whether it's human or any kind of alien, there's always going to be people who are walking in the light and beautiful and doing good for others. And then there's always going to be people on the other side of that equation. And then most of us are in the middle somewhere. We have, we're beautiful and awesome some days, and some days we can be real crabby.
We do the best we can.
We
You
do the
know,
best we can.
we're fifth dimensional frequencies walking around in a 3D body,
Right.
right?
That's right. Exactly.
And did you ever see the TV show Third Rock from the Sun?
Yes.
And you see them getting in those bodies, and it's exactly the way it is, in these
Yeah.
3D bodies of ours. And we have to learn to manage. And it's not set up for us to ascend. That's on us
Right.
to get
Right.
activated and turn up our light and remember why we're here.
Yeah. So, how can we remember why we're here? This probably brings us full circle back to your angelic awakening. We got stuck
That's
on
so
Kingman
true.
and yeah.
Well, Kingman is really important, especially when you're telling me it's in the news. So now I'm intimately
I know.
involved
I
with that
know.
crash site. I could actually talk
Exactly.
about it with people. Holy
Yes.
moly.
I know. This is your moment to shine. Well, every moment is your moment to shine, Joan, but you've got an opportunity here with Kingman, and it's everyone's talking about it on in UFO Twitter, X,
Really?
whatever they call it, all over UFO Reddit. Believe me, it has
I
been
have
the
to figure
number
out
one conversation for the last nine
who's going to
days.
want me on their show. But anyway, it was the ETs that when I was on the ship in this regression, and
Yeah.
I had all that group, my Baja Paranormal group was on the ship. They were
Yeah.
all like this, clunked out, like eyes
Yeah.
closed and asleep in a trance. And my job was up on stage. I was bringing one person at a time up and in my chair, and I was aligning their antenna with the heavens and the earth. And I was tuning it up for every person. And they said, well, your job, and I knew this, I didn't need them to tell me this, but your job is that you've made an agreement that your job is to turn up everyone's light and vibration. And you agreed not to ever come and not to leave the planet until every person's vibration was truly aligned. And I cried because it was
Oh,
what I know I'm here to do.
yeah.
And I am here to help you guys remember who you are and step into your greatest gifts, because just like Dolores Cannon says, we're volunteers. We all said, oh, yes, bring it on.
We
I want to
did.
go.
We did.
And we didn't come down here empty handed. We came down here with a toolkit of skills. You all have different skills, but you're all Jedis in your own skills. And part of awakening is to start to recall those skills and start to use them and activate them and learn to master them. But the
Yeah.
biggest thing I tell people is that it is the first thing to remember is that you turn up your light. We're here to carry this light because it's the light that will transform the darkness.
Yeah. That you're
And
kind of answering Liv's question here. Can we actually be aliens with zero awareness? And
you can
yeah,
be, but you're not
exactly.
an alien. You're a human. You're a person in the physical form here as a quote human who may have been born or comes from a star far away, a galaxy, like the movie, a galaxy far away. And you came here distinctly because you had the tools and the skills to do what you came here to do. So if you don't remember, here's the first clue. Anyone who was called to come on this show, number one, you're being activated by Birdie and me. As we speaking, we're raising your vibration and your frequency to help you remember. Yeah. Do 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 do. We are helping you to remember.
Yeah,
And
Kay says we are the ground crew.
we are, and Kay and herself is a ground crew. I love that woman.
I do too.
So,
She's awesome.
oh, that's so great. I actually know people in Albuquerque now when I come. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. So we're meant to remember. And as we remember, but remember the other part. just like the light knows that you're here to make a difference, so does the dark. And the dark has an agenda, and they send agents against you. The agents, from the time you show up in the body, there's also a plan or a group that doesn't want you to step into your power, doesn't want you to be free to be, doesn't even want you to remember. If they wanted you to remember, they wouldn't put in all those screen memories.
Right.
With that being said, understand when you look back at your life, you can go, well, who in my life was actually unintentionally an agent of the dark that was here, that part of their mission was to make sure I didn't make it, that I didn't remember. Because an empowered human on this planet is critical. The more of us who wake up, the stronger we get, the more we align our light with each other, the more likely we are to rid the planet of those dark agenda alien reptilians who have been acting as the overlords for way too long. I don't know about you, but I'm not good at complying. I do not comply.
Yeah, neither do I.
And that compliance gene has to come out, right?
That's right.
Because all the humans created by these Anunnaki gods, they put in a compliance gene. So you would not think, not question, not wake up, not remember. So if you're not remembering, we need to remove your compliance gene and awaken your third eye, which has been covered over by all the crap. You know, you just look up and the chemtrail hits it.
Yep. I think that that's so true. I've been doing remote viewing for almost 30 years. And in working with a lot of different people, I've discovered that, people think they're a psychic brick and they don't understand that they're just as powerful as every other person on the planet. And just seeing somebody awaken from that is such a joy. Going from disbelieving that they can connect with absolutely everything, anytime, any place, and then finding out, oh my gosh, I'm everywhere all at once. It's beautiful.
That is beautiful. I like that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good description, Birdie.
Oh, thank you. So we got a question for you here. With your vast experiences from angels to aliens to all kinds of interdimensionals, what is the message for humanity? Is there hope for our future?
You know what? Live light. What a beautiful name, Live Light. Yes, there's so much hope. You know, we're in that ascension timeline. And at this moment in time, and I guess this happens maybe every 22,000 years or something, where the light is coming together for this ascension time on planet, it is real. So there's two timelines that are coming together. One is more the dark timeline, and one is more the positive awakening and free humanity timeline. And so you get to choose, but the more of us that choose that timeline, the more we create it in the future and we turn it into reality. So actually we are responsible for stepping into and onto this new timeline. So yes, there is hope for humanity. We want to go back to, is there hope for you? What are you doing that's going to help you to step into your best life now? To be the best you can be, to not be covered up in fear, to say, I do not comply. I'm free to be me. And that by doing that, you step into a group of light beings like yourself that are joining forces energetically to bring about this new age. Yes. Because the dark is really trying. I don't know if you know anything about Frank Jacob and the his Looking Glass project, but I did a couple of shows with Frank, and that's the truth. There is that other timeline. So is it a done deal that we're going to all go on this ascension timeline? No, but it's very likely. Now, the last time humanity tried to fight off the overlords was in the 1500s. And in those days, the giants woke up to help them. And so there was actually an alliance between humanity and the giants to revolt and throw off our overlords or the controllers, whatever you want to call them. But we lost. And so some of the things that we see now, where they're just, making it impossible to see our history, and they've lied and covered up. They've covered up everything, the giants, those beautiful
Right.
Tartarian buildings. All of that really went into effect after we lost that war, but we're
Yeah.
coming back.
That's, that's really a great point because we have so many fascinating megalithic structures across our whole planet, and they're enormous. They could not have been built simply by the humans of the time. There had to have been some kind of involvement with somebody else or some kind of technology that we didn't know existed at the time. And I agree that a lot of our history is covered up.
I put a lot of stuff about giants on my Telegram channel. So everything about me is at Joan of Angels. And if you're interested in the Tartarian or the giants, go look at my channel, because I go around the world looking for evidence that the giants were here in
Yeah.
big time.
Awesome. All of Joan's links are in the show notes, gang. All of her links, her Instagram, her website, her Telegram. You've got to check out her artwork. Let's talk about that, Joan. You do these amazing spiritual paintings. And when I look at them, I can feel my heart opening. Truly, they're incredible. How did you get into art, and what are you doing when you paint?
Well, first of all, I want you to know I was never born an artist. My mother and brother made me swear on someone's body that I would never become an artist. So I have violated that. They told me to be a bookkeeper. So that didn't work out. But in 2013, in a very dark moment when I really was praying for a miracle, I heard this voice that paint 33 angels in 30 days, which was too much work for me. It was like, no, no, no. And then I heard the voice again. And then by the third time, I realized that this was my way. This was going to be my miracle. And I said yes. And I put them up on the wall, and a book falls off the bookshelf that says, "Your call for angelic assistance has been heard." Now, that's how I got into painting. And these days I do mostly digital because I travel too much to have a
Right.
studio. And these digital pieces are the way I work is that I kind of blend and merge with the angelics, with my guides. I just ask for clarity, and then I just go about kind of going into a trance, and I create it. I create it on my computer. I could create it on my phone. And I'm like on another universe until I'm
Yeah.
done. And some of them are portals. I do a lot of portals. Oh, yeah. Well, I was the executive producer for Portal to Ascension, which is kind of interesting. I'm
Yeah.
always about portals, but I do mystical landscapes. I had a woman in Greece when I was showing my art there with the Stargate people. She came up and she said, "Joan, do you remember when we were interdimensional and on like the 11th dimension, and this was our temple?" So I have people coming up and validating these stargates or these temples that
Yes.
they've been there before. And then I have a line of angelic ones in the gods and goddesses. But the interesting thing is I also offer an art activation. So you take a piece home and we can do an activation online, which actually aligns you and the painting. So it becomes a vibrational tool, much like when I bought that statue of the tall white from Cynthia. Her name was Cynthia, and Cynthia Crawford. So that tall white would download information to me. The art does that. And
Yeah.
then this year I started offering a special, really special, only for certain people, soul. I call it soul essence portraits. They're soul aspects. What I
Yeah.
realized is that we all have 20, 30, 100 soul aspects. And I'll do a session with them, and the soul aspects will come to me. And I create a video for you of your soul aspects. And then we send it to you as a painting so that you can never forget who you are. Because once we see who you are, we bring that together. I've been broken into 33 fractals this lifetime. That's all I can tell you. I'm kind of a walk-in, but it took 33 aspects of me coming together for me to
Yeah.
be a walk-in, which is why I'm not at all like I was when I was
Right.
younger.
Wow. Well, Kay is saying here that your paintings are a miracle, full, beautiful of energies.
So in all fairness, I have met Kay. She came to see me when I was in Santa Fe, right when the pandemic began in 2020, and we had a big love-in at the time. So I'm really happy to see her, and thank you, Kay. Yes, I think she has a scarf or something of mine.
Okay, Kay, I'll get that back at the next meeting.
I don't know. I'm going to come to your meetings when I'm
Yeah,
in that part of the
absolutely.
country.
You can come stay right in my house.
I'm going to. I'm already jazzed.
I'm
Yes.
super jazzed too. This is so much fun. So what do you think are some things that we can do? Or regular people, I mean, everyone's not regular, right? Everyone's an incredible fifth dimensional, multidimensional, fractal, gorgeous energy creature, but sometimes we feel like a regular person and we have trouble connecting to those extra layers of ourselves. What can we do to start accessing that?
Well, in 5 minutes or less. So, it takes a commitment. You really can get up every day and ask to be shown the way.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, you have your notebook out, you can go, please, tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. But even if you're not getting those answers, the most important thing is activating yourself. Okay. And when I say that, so I have something on my website called wing fluffing. In fact, I'm not going to be doing them much more, but they are still there in case you're interested. And in the wing fluffing, I kind of teach you how to embody that presence and that energy and that high vibration. When you learn how to actually, even in your physicality, carry that presence with you, that's the first step, because that'll change your tone. It'll change the way you see yourself. It'll change the way other people see you. And so, I guess I'll be doing programs in the near future on power. What do I call it? Purpose, passion, purpose, power. Passion, purpose. There's 4 words, and I didn't get them all in. Passion, purpose, presence, and power. Presence. So if you can activate that presence, and you can activate your passion for connecting before you know it. And there are tools, that I could teach you, but that begins with your attitude. It's like, okay, I'm sick of being sick. I'm sick of being stuck. I'm opening up room for the true me to start to come out. So sometimes we can do it first physically in our presence to allow it to come out. And I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel that talk about stepping into the light, raising your light. And I'm going to be starting a new show in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to have Birdie on it, just so you all know.
Yay.
And the name of the show is going to be Turn Up Your Light with Joan of Angels. They just told me yesterday. I haven't even put it all together yet.
Wow. So what other kinds of messages do you have for us today? Anything that we should focus on, think about?
Give me a second, okay?
Yeah,
I just want to tune in to what it is that our guides. So the first thing they're telling me is, well, let's be at peace. Be at peace because we, or you and I, we're all at the exact right place at the exact right moment of the planet and of history and of ourselves. We came here to really have an important place in humanity's evolution. And we do it by staying strong. We do it by just holding on and extending our antenna up to the heavens and our roots down to the earth. And just the more you extend that antenna up to the heavens and sort of anchor it in, the more you're going to bring down that celestial light. But understand that these are the times for which you and I came.
Yes.
We're here. I mean, if you think about it, I don't know about you, but I'm 20 and 20. It's like, oh my God, everything was going so good. Why am I here during what looks like now the worst of times? However, of course, I was quickly instructed on what was really going on. We were being cocooned and trained for the now, because now is the time for which we are called. Many people are going to be waking up, although many people are still going to stay asleep. The chaos is going to get worse. I know this is evergreen, but as long as we're talking about it, the
Yes.
upcoming, the upcoming election, things are going to be so chaotic. But understand that all is unfolding for the highest good of all of us. And that as we break down the old, the new is coming. You are here to stay strong. You are here to be awake, to, when people start to freak out, to say, oh, I know what's going on. Don't worry. This is all part of the evolution. This is an exciting time to be alive, Lana. You are so right. And that's why you're here. I tried to freak out in 2020. There was a time by the summer that's like, oh God, what am I going to do? And I was doing a show then called Corona Toolkit. Now, it's a good thing I stopped, because then I would have been banned, because it was all about what you could do to treat the flu, to treat yourself. But I was doing this show, and I was starting to freak out. Should I freak out like everyone else, or what should I do? I heard a voice said, you're Joan of Angels. You're telling everyone you're the one and only Joan of Angels. If you really are Joan of Angels, either you step up and do what you came here to do, or move over, and there'll be a Joan of Angels too. There'll be,
Wow, that's a
maybe,
powerful message.
yes, and I'm giving you that message. If you don't want to, or you're not ready to say yes, even if you don't know what that yes is, you can say, yes, I'm open to the light. I'm open to building my own energetic light, no matter what. So if we're required to say yes or no now, because to be one of the chosen ones, you must choose. And these are the times for which you raised your hand eons ago and said yes. So don't go hide in your bed and throw the blanket over your head and pillows and get under
But
the bed.
mommy,
Okay.
I don't wanna.
I mean, they really reamed me,
Yeah,
and they said, it's your choice, Joan. You could choose to go to a simple life and
right.
not do this, or you can do what you came here to do. And I'm giving you all the same choice. You can say, things are really going to be hairy the next period of time, and this is exciting. I know that the Galactic Council is right here. The Alliance is right here. I also know that we're going to break, just have that certainty. We're going to break free and remove that compliance gene. And that's the other thing,
Right.
energetically removing that compliance gene. Think of it maybe as a cork in your throat chakra, which the
Oh.
patriarch and was put in all of us, so we wouldn't speak up.
Wow, that is so interesting. And because you were telling me earlier this week, as members of my group know, I was bitten by a black widow spider and had a very serious reaction. And Joan pointed out to me that that can happen. That's a message that you're not speaking out, you're not opening your voice. And I think that was true for me. So this is really resonating with me.
Also know that's what's called spider medicine in the
Yeah,
indigenous world. You have spider medicine. You
right.
have a spider totem now. And so
Yeah,
it would be good to embrace that aspect, and the messages of everything is designed to wake us up. Everything is designed to give us a message, especially when you say, yes, I'm ready. So I
right.
want to hear all of you go, yes, I'm ready. Yes,
Yes,
I'm
I'm
ready.
ready.
Yes. And it's important, because one of our first questions was, are we going to make it as a species? Are we going to
Right,
make it, are we going to evolve here to the ascension and to the new earth? And
right.
I say yes. Also, I'll be doing and running a New Earth symposium next month, just
Oh,
to
that's
say that. But
exciting. Let's hear about this.
well, we have a group of about 8 of us, and we'll all have our presentations on what is the New Earth. And I'll be doing a panel in a couple of days, so I'll release that to all of you. But the panel will be with speakers. Laura Eisenhower is one of our speakers, on how to evolve into this new Earth. What the heck does it mean for us? And how do we get from here to there? You're going to have to
Right.
hold on. It will be a bumpy ride. I'm not going to promise you that it's not a bumpy ride. I'm only reminding you that you volunteered for it.
It's always a bumpy ride, Joan.
It has been a bumpy ride. Planet Earth is the most difficult planet in the galactic world. It is only, they send people here who need training, who agree to the hardest kinds of training, because this is not a piece of cake. And they've even set it up so that it's almost impossible to reincarnate out of here. So,
Yeah.
and you're born, you may have this toolkit, but the rules changed again. Every lifetime,
Right.
they've changed the rules, they've changed the timeline, they've changed the history. You don't know if you're in 2024 or if you're in 1524.
Wow. I can feel that. I can feel that in my soul. I
Yeah.
have bits and piece memories from past lives, and I feel like I'm still struggling against some of the same things.
Well, let's remove the word struggle, and let's just say
Oh,
that those are the things that the dark side wants you to focus on instead of the things you can do,
oh, I like this.
and as here we're going to talk about the heavenly part. You
Yes.
cannot take a wheelbarrow to heaven when you leave here. Okay, it's way too heavy. All your crap is in that wheelbarrow. And as humans, we like to carry that wheel. We like to lead with that baggage, and carry it with us. Oh, that's not going to get you anywhere.
I love that. That is such a great analogy. Yeah, you can't take it with you. You can't take all your struggles and your fears with you.
No, you really can't.
You can't.
You really can't. And the older you get, the clearer that gets, because
Right.
when I coach people, we go to the mountaintop. I have a little cafe up there called Joan of Angels Cafe. I give you chai tea, no coffee, chai tea, and we sit and we talk and we literally look at the world below, where
Wow.
you are, where your body is running around, so we can have a new perspective on your life and on what you're doing and on your soul aspects. So the soul portraits are really a soul retrieval shamanic experience in essence. But we have to go to a state of neutrality, a
Right.
state of looking at the big picture in order to understand the picture.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And how do you think, with all of this transformation happening, how do you think all of those alien UFO disclosure efforts are tying into this? Do you feel that that's part of the plan, or is it obfuscation? Where do you see the disclosure?
Nothing happens by accident.
Yeah.
Nothing on the planet. Everything is. Haven't you ever noticed synchronicities that are too impossible to explain, as
Yes.
if someone planned it? So
Yes.
everything is known in advance. And this push for disclosure that we have, and the government's push to not let us know, and then this back and forth, it's all
Yeah.
designed to just keep you all in a state of anxiety, waiting for that day where they have that false flag, and I don't really buy any of it, of what the government's doing or how it is. The disclosure is happening among us,
That's right.
the people who've had UFO contacts, the people who know that they're hearing them or seeing them or feeling them. Cynthia Crawford she's still online, even though she passed away. She's known as the ET sculptor. Her dad was in the Air Force, and she was actually genetically cloned with a real, like not taken on a ship. She was really genetically cloned. So she was half hybrid or
Yeah.
half ET. And she told me that they'd come in her living room, kind of, so she could do sculptures of them. And she had clear sight. So I say that the hope for humanity it lies in our hands. If you
Yes.
want to go scurrying under your bed clothes because it's just too much for you, you might as well do it now, and let someone else take your place, because we
Right.
are all hands on deck. This is the time we've been praying for. You can call it the solar flash, the grand awakening, the ascension, whatever it is, we are actually in it. But it's going to look messy because we're separating from an old world with an old paradigm, with the old controllers who we're breaking free from.
Yes.
So I guess, what is my final message?
Yeah, your final
Move,
message.
get that compliance gene out of you.
I
Okay, get that
love it.
compliance, implant gone, and your whole world will clear up.
Oh, thank you, Joan. You have been such an absolute delight. You've given all of us so much to think about, and I'm grateful for your presence. Thank you.
I didn't expect to go here in the ways that we did, but I'm happy because it was exactly what was meant. And I think you really unleashed something for me when you talked about the Kingman crashes. Because actually, I really was probably not supposed to talk about it, but he's gone, so I can.
Right.
And
See,
I'm even
it's
going to look and
time.
see if I kept any files.
Look
Secret
that up.
files.
And yeah, look that up. And it's your time to shine, Joan. There's no question.
All right. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to everyone's feedback. I will be
Yeah.
seeing you all. If any of you who are in Albuquerque, Santa Fe area, I definitely will be there by August and hang out with Birdie
That's right. We're going to
and
have
Kay.
an awesome time. So thank you, Joan. And if, Joan, if you don't mind hanging out for just 2 minutes while I've got a special, guys, you're going to laugh and you're going to groan. I made a little ridiculous music video for our group, and I just thought everyone would get a good laugh. I actually have been working on a theme song for the podcast and that I wrote myself, and I'm going to unveil that later this summer. I want to actually record it in studio. But so this is just silly. This is not our official theme song. It's just to make everyone laugh.
I think you're great. So guys, if you need anything or have any questions or you want a personal session, and go to my website, joanofangels.com, look at the art, see how if it's calling
Look
you.
at the art. Definitely. Check out all of Joan's stuff, and we will be talking with her again. I guarantee it.
Me too.
Okay, love you all, and we'll see you on the flip side. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming along for the ride. See you next time.
Down in Albuquerque under the New Mexico sun, there's a group that gathers when the day is done. They're not looking for ghosts or chasing the wind. They're out to find UFOs with a grin. Albuquerque UFO Explorations, the band of curious souls scouring the skies with their night vision goals. They say the truth is out there and it's wearing a sombrero in the land of enchantment where the unidentified flies low. With their heads in the clouds and their eyes on the stars, they're more likely to find Venus, but they're hoping for Mars. Equipped with their cameras and a six-pack of brew, they're ready to debate 'twas a balloon or UFO that flew. Albuquerque UFO Explorations, seekers of the night, looking for a light that zigs and zags, then takes flight. They can all be satellites or drones in disguise. Maybe it's an alien dropping by for some fries. Maybe it's an alien dropping by for some fries.